Brandon.
Mark, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm excited to be doing this today.
Yep. Finally, I'm sure people have been missing us. So here,
Yeah.
can you? So I'm not always looking at myself.
Oh yeah.
I fall in love every time.
Yeah. Every time you see yourself in the visuals.
Yeah. So today we're back in the book of Jasher, and we're going to be talking about some fulfillment of some prophecies that we talked about over the last two.
Yeah.
One was whenever Abram was born.
And the prophecy of what he would. Well, we covered that part already, right?
Yeah. Well, let's just do it real quick. Well, actually, though, do you want to start off with this?
Yeah. So you have a special drink here today.
Yeah, I got this Owens Craft ginger beer and lime mix. So, and so we're just gonna try it out. This one is cool because, well, for some reason I thought it was condensed or not condensed, but what is that?
Just
So anyway, okay, so we're doing a third. Oh wait, let's put them on the same level. So we got a third of pure LaCroix, the sparkling water, and then the rest is going to be this ginger beer plus lime from Owens Craft Mix. We'll see how this tastes.
good old Owens.
But they have this one that's condensed. Is that what they call it? Condensed?
I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, sure that works.
But so
You're saying concentrated?
Concentrate. That's
Yeah.
it. They have ones that's concentrate, so you can make it even stronger. I thought this one was one of those, but it's not. So we'll see how this is.
Ooh,
Fill her up.
Good job there.
Oop. Hopefully it's got some good. Oh,
Wow,
they're probably like, whoa, this flavor is like.
Yeah.
Or they're hearing the. Smells good. You can smell it from.
You can smell the lime.
Let's see.
Really?
Hey, Brandon.
This is to our
Owens Craft mixers.
Yep.
No, not that strong. Son of a gun. There it is. Well, it's got good flavor. Maybe I put too much seltzer water in it.
It's not bad. It's just like depending on your expectations, right?
Yeah, just your basic ginger beer. Kind of.
I'll finish that. That's good.
I have a few extra things for us, though, in my bucket of treasures.
Can't wait.
My ice box of treasures for us. So
Mark's icebox of treasures.
But I think, well, you're supposed to go a third. It's supposed to be, I probably put too much of the other.
Mm-hmm. The LaCroix.
Yeah. So you're supposed to go a fourth of like alcohol, but we did sparkling water, and then the the 3/4 of this. So that might be why it's watered down.
It has a good flavor, even though it's a little bit diluted right now. It has a good flavor to it.
I'm gonna add a little more. Oh, it contains juice. 3%. You want some more? Just to kind of strengthen it up.
Give me some more.
But I think next time I'm gonna try one of those get one of those concentrate ones, so we can really like to where it makes you cough.
Oh, that's better. Adding that in a little bit.
Really?
A little more. Yeah.
Yeah, I must have diluted it too much.
Yeah, we love coughing, right? Having it so strong that you have to cough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we used to do with Verner's. Like, inhale. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the kind of... There's more we want to talk about in Jasher with Abraham and Isaac. At least that I want to. Because the story is different there than it is in the Bible. Also, there's a few other things.
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph in his coat, and we'll talk about that actually kind of a little bit today. But
okay.
But also his whole thing in Egypt is really cool, and he does magic.
Oh, that's sweet.
Like he looks into this cup. He's got this magical cup.
I can't wait for that.
So
good old Jasher.
Yeah, Jasher's actually really really good we were just talking about, but actually
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah.
But it's consistent too. It doesn't. They don't mess up on the timelines too much or
It's
anything.
like the book of Genesis that you always wanted.
Yeah, with more stories, like not the condensed version, I guess. So, and it all actually, if you look in different um, Jewish traditions and stuff, it all lines up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are like, oh well, this is bull or whatever.
Sure.
It all, you know. So anyway, but okay, so there's the prophecy whenever what's his name was born. Brandon, you want to look this up?
Abram.
Yeah, and Joshua 8:2.
Yeah. This is the part the wise men
Yeah,
and their foretelling of the evil that Abram will do.
yeah. So just was it? What's going on there?
So this is the
Yeah, 8:2.
yeah. Well, when they left Terah's house,
Mm-hmm.
they were like they looked up into the sky and they saw the stars and enough. They saw enough of a light show in the skies that gave them they were able to decipher that it had something to do with Terah's son.
Yeah.
And so there was one very large star, and it came from the east and it ran into the heavens and swallowed up 4 stars from the 4 sides of heaven. So that was their foretelling that Abram will do evil upon Nimrod.
Yeah.
Because Nimrod at this point was like the king over, at least in their perspective, the king over the world.
And then they went and told Nimrod. That's what got Abram killed, baby Abram.
Yeah.
Although
fake Abram.
what happened is that his father switched out. He said, "Okay, give me 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And he switched out his baby for one of his handmaid's baby that had been born, knowing that if he didn't, the whole household was going to be destroyed. That's what Nimrod said. He goes, you know what? You don't do this, you're all dead. Not even a dog to wag its tail, basically.
So the handmaid.
She gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes, she's the real hero of the story.
Mm-hmm. We'll save that for A Handmaid's Tale. You can watch it on Netflix. No. So there's that one, and then as we already talked about, Abram goes up to Noah, Shem, and all that, and then he comes back, he had learned all this stuff, actually got to know who God was, and then saw that there's all this idolatry going on. He got thrown into the fire because he destroyed all the idols of his father's house.
Yeah, and with his brother.
With his brother, who was, his brother died. Abram survived, and whenever Nimrod saw that, him and all his princes fell down at his feet, and we're gonna worship him. He's like, dude, don't worship me. Just worship the real God. Quit messing around.
And they sent him away with that was where Abram got his first
followers and some money from the different then as we heard in Joshua chapter 12, Nimrod has a dream as he's sitting in his throne, so he's probably just nodding off.
Yeah, he's like
you're probably listening to some court case or whatever. Anyway, and he lifted up his eyes and saw a man in the likeness of Abram coming forth from the furnace, and that he came and stood before the king with his drawn sword, and then sprang to the king with his sword. And when the king fled from the man, for he was afraid, and while he was running, the man threw an egg upon the king's head, and the egg became a river.
Yeah.
And then, the king dreams that his troops sank into that river and died, and the king took flight with the 3 men who were before him, and he escaped. Okay? and and the king looked at these men, and they were clothed in princely dresses as the garments of kings, and had the appearance and majesty of kings. And while they were running, the river again turned into an egg before the king, and there came forth from the egg a young bird, which came before the king, and flew at his head, and plucked out the king's eye. And then the interpretation was, therefore, my king, surely thou knowest that. Oh, wait. Dang it, where is it? 52. The interpretation. Let's see. This is nothing else but evil of Abram and his seed, that which will spring up against my Lord. The day will come when Abram and his seed and the children of his household will war with my king, and they will smite all the king's hosts and his troops. Okay, so this is another and as to what thou hast said concerning the three men which thou dost see like unto thyself, and which should escape, this means that only thou wilt escape with three kings from the kings of the earth, who will be with thee in battle. Okay. And that which thou sawest of the river which turned into an egg, and the young bird plucking out thine eye, this means nothing else but the seed of Abram, which will slay the king in the latter days. So there's two main things: is that he's going to be defeated by Abram along with three other kings, and that in the latter days or later on, he's going to be killed by one of the seed of Abraham.
Wow.
So, finding out this, of course, we already said their idea is like, okay, what you got to do? Kill Abram.
Yeah, so that's what even though the first time he tried to, definitely went wrong, didn't work. Nimrod wants him out again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, and that's where we left off on our last podcast.
One of the people that I was gonna say, one of the people that they gave, one of the servants that was given to Abram was Eliezer.
Yeah, and he's the one that.
Yeah, he overheard some stuff.
He warned him. Finally, you know what? They actually go and they talk to. He tells them, and they go. Abram goes and hides at Noah's house.
Yeah, with Shem, Noah.
That's interesting. He always goes to. Noah and Shem are like a constant thing until Noah dies, and then Shem's the guy. So that he hides there, and then at a certain time, it's like, okay, you got to get out of here. You know, I think the Lord comes. Now, therefore, hearken to my voice, and let us arise. Or they decide. I think God tells them, "Hey, you need to leave." And Abram ceased to speak when Noah and his son Shem answered Terah, saying, "True is the word which Abram hath said unto thee." And Terah hearkened to the voice. Finally, Terah's hearkening to the voice of his the priests, the actual righteous priests. And Terah did all that Abram said, for this was from the Lord, that the king should not cause Abram's death. So they left. And chapter 13 starts off, and Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot and Haran and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, the wife of his son Abram, and all the souls of his household, and went from
Kasdim.
See, why they call it Kasdim?
Yeah.
To go to the land of Canaan. So there they go. They got out of there.
Yeah, they fled. They fled.
Mm-hmm. And, okay. So there's the prophecies. Now there's a little battle that happens where Nimrod kind of gets taken down a peg. Where there's a guy named Cheddar Leomer.
Yeah. Good pronunciation of the name.
Well, the only reason I know,
Oh,
or
audio.
I heard it because I was listening to it.
Yeah, Chedorlaomer. That's cool.
And Chedorlaomer, or it's in chapter 13, verses 12. You want to read that?
Yeah. And in the 10th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, there was a war between Nimrod, king of Shinar, and Chedorlaomer, king of Elam. And Nimrod came to fight with Chedorlaomer and to subdue him. For Chedorlaomer was at the time one of the princes of the hosts of Nimrod. And when all the people at the tower were dispersed, and those that remained were also scattered upon the face of the earth, Chedorlaomer went to the land of Elam and reigned over it and rebelled against his lord.
So yeah, that was part of that scattering, because actually, whenever we talked about the scattering or the fall of the tower,
Yeah.
Nimrod almost became a joke, not a joke, but almost people mocked him about it.
Yeah, like the failure.
Yeah.
As a big failure.
Like, nice try, and that's where the kind of the division of the different kingdoms happened. And so this is
And so
one
this
of
is an
the
example
first,
of one of them. Yeah.
of this guy Chedorlaomer, who actually is the father of cheddar cheese. But so that he kind of broke off, but he was still under Nimrod. Now what happened was there was part of that scattering was Sodom. The cities of the plain were created.
Yeah.
And Sodom, a guy named Sodom came to one part, another guy named Gomorrah came to another part, and there's some other guys, and they named them after their own.
Know the names of.
Yeah, but Nimrod at that time, in verse 14 it says, and in those days when Nimrod saw that the cities of the plain had rebelled, that's Sodom and Gomorrah, against Chedorlaomer, because they were paying him taxes, the Chedorlaomer. He saw that the cities of the plain were rebelling against him, so he thought, hey, this is my chance
This is my
to bring Chedorlaomer back to me. So he assembled all his princes and subjects, a big number, it says, and went against him. Chedorlaomer went to meet him, and in verse 15,
and all those kings fought there, and Nimrod and his people were smitten before the people of Chedorlaomer, and there fell from Nimrod's men about 600,000, and Mardon, the king's son, fell amongst them.
No,
not
his
Mardon.
son. Oh wait, was that wicked one?
Yeah,
Remember?
Mardon was like the one that was
They're like,
worse than.
You think Nimrod was bad?
Yeah.
You got from the wicked goeth forth wickedness, as the old saying goes.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right?
Mardon, it was rotten.
And then 16.
And Nimrod fled and returned in shame and disgrace to his land, and he was under subjection to Chedorlaomer for a long time. And Chedorlaomer returned to his land and sent princes of his host to the kings that dwelt around him, to Arioch, king of Elasar, and to Tidal, king of Goyim, and made a covenant with them, and they were all obedient to his commands.
So Nimrod got taken down a peg.
Yeah,
he got defeated. He saw a chance. He saw a chance for him to kind of actually get some of his power back.
Yeah, Nimrod is not doing very well right now.
No. Well, he should have listened to Abram.
Yeah.
He
shouldn't have bashed that little baby's head.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there you're kind of seeing, but eventually, I don't know exactly what the timeline is, but there's all this stuff going on with Abram and everything. But it's not necessarily. Are we gonna? We're not gonna do the Sodom. What are we gonna? We're gonna. Oh, we're just going through for the fulfillment of the prophecy.
Yeah.
So, but you see that Chedorlaomer kind of consolidates with two other guys.
Yeah, I forget their names already, but yeah, two other princes.
Mm-hmm. So what happens is eventually the people of the plain of Sodom and Gomorrah, decide to that they're going to rise up again.
Yeah.
It didn't work the first time, but they decided to rise up again. And they actually it seems like they have a pretty good fighting force. And something happened where between this time where Chedorlaomer maybe made up with Nimrod. Anyway, in chapter 16 it talks
Yeah, because they're on the same side again or something.
Yeah.
And
maybe that was because I guess actually if Chedorlaomer had defeated Nimrod, actually Nimrod was kind of subject to him.
Yeah, I think that's what I interpreted.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just go with that. If we find out different, then
let it be written there.
So that'll be our interpretation. It makes sense because, and so Chedorlaomer's now king. You know, the big guy, the big cheese, and he's got this rebellion force. Big cheese, Chedorlaomer. That wasn't even intentional, dude. This has a little spice to it. Mm-hmm. You feeling it on your lips? I know I am. But. So in chapter 16, verse 1.
So at that time, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, sent to all the neighboring kings, to Nimrod, king of Shinar, who was then under his power, and to Tidal, king of Goyim, and to Arioch, king of Elasar.
Those guys that he
Yep.
was over.
With whom he made a covenant, saying, "Come up to me and assist me, that we may smite all the towns of Sodom and its inhabitants, for they have rebelled against me these 13 years.
Like, they've been bad news.
Yeah, Sodom.
That was the thing that actually got Nimrod to attack in the first place is Sodom and Gomorrah's, or the cities of plain were just like these rebels. They were real jerks. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But they didn't, if you weren't part of them, they don't want a part of you at all. They don't want to be rolled over. And so, but, okay, so you got Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, right?
Yep. Nimrod. And Arioch.
So that's...
And Tidal.
Arioch, that's 4 kings.
Wow.
Where have we seen this before? 4 stars.
Nothing clicks right now.
No, like, add 4, just not... nope.
Yeah, but, so we got 4 kings.
You got the 4 kings. Now, it's interesting, actually, in the Bible, in Genesis account, it has the 4 kings, but the king of Shinar is Amraphel.
Mm-hmm. Which is supposed to be Nimrod.
Yeah. And there's actually, because I was like, what the heck? Why would they put Nimrod in there? But actually, I got a whole thing. According to Rob and Samuel, Raphael is identical with Nimrod. This is from a Hebrew tradition.
Okay.
Some say Amraphel was his real name, and he was called Nimrod, the chief rebel. Remember, Nimrod means rebel. As leader of the tower builders who led the world unto rebellion. So that was Nimrod, like his nickname.
Like his name given to him because
maybe it was like a slander too. Like Nimrod.
Yeah.
Don't be a Nimrod. It is a slander nowadays.
Yeah.
Quit being a Nimrod. So
well, that's interesting. I mean, it's not uncommon for, people's names to not actually be their actual name. It's more of like a
nickname.
Yeah.
Others again say Nimrod was his real name, and he was called Amraphel as the one who commanded them to cast Abram into the fire. There's these different Hebrew characters, so I don't know what they all mean. Among other fanciful etymologies, the name is explained as that of one of those commands brought darkness, destruction. Okay, whatever. Or one who provoked and made sport of the world. These are all just different interpretations. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because I was like, why does it say something else? But it's a Hebrew, like, this is actual goes back to Jewish tradition, that Amraphel and Nimrod were the same people. So you're
Yeah.
not getting, like, you're going to look in the Bible and say, well, it says somebody else. Where's Nimrod? It doesn't Nimrod's mentioned once.
Yeah.
As a great hunter. But according to them, Nimrod is the same. And I thought that was interesting.
It's interesting that they have so much dialogue. They have so much dialogue on what the name means. Like,
well, that's how Jewish people.
Yeah, that's what they're.
That's just like, yeah, they're just take these different things and they talk about them and discuss them, and that's how they get. I mean, I hate to be absurd, but that's how they got to be so smart, or deep thinking or whatever.
Yeah,
they don't just take things at face value. They're like, oh, let's really dig into this. I know that, and also in Jasher 27:2, it said, well, you don't have to. It says,
Too late, Mark.
and Nimrod, king of Babel, and it says the same was Amraphel.
Oh yeah, it does say that.
Also frequently went with his mighty men to the field to hunt. And we'll talk about that actually in a little bit.
A great hunter.
Yeah. So even the book of Jasher, covers that. So it's consistent. Like I said, Jasher, I don't know. I think Jasher's pretty, like I was talking to you earlier. I was like, it's like really consistent. It's got a lot of, basically Ginsburg. It's not Allen Ginsburg.
I don't know.
Jacob. Anyway, whatever Ginsburg, the guy that wrote the Legends of the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly different from the book of Jasher, but it's pretty much the same. It's all from the traditions of the
And I think another
rabbis.
reason why it's consistent. Another reason why you mentioned how consistent it was is, like, it keeps, like, one of the things about Genesis is, like, it goes back and forth and things don't make sense. Like, it uses one name here and then one name there.
Yeah.
And so Jasher's consistent with, like, it keeps to the same story.
Yeah, and you also, but in the thing in the Bible where there's little references like to Melchizedek, where, like, in here you find out actually in chapter 16, it's chapter 16 verse 11, it says, and Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, the same was Shem, went out to meet Abram. Okay, let's talk about this actually. So wait, we haven't even gotten to the battle yet.
Oh. Let's do the battle.
But I was just saying that the four kings that are mentioned in that prophecy when Abram was born are these four kings now that are going to battle the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And what does it have to do with Abram? Nothing, actually, except for
his
in chapter verse 6. The only thing it has to do with, and they got these four kings together, chapter 2, and these four kings went up with all their camps, and the five kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, the five cities of the plain, went out to meet them, and they all joined together in the battle in the valley of Siddim. And verse 6 says, they plundered all the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and here it is. And they also took Lot, Abram's brother's son, and his property. And they seized all the goods of the cities of Sodom, and they went away. And eunuch, Abram's servant, who was in the battle, saw this and told Abram and all the king all that the kings had done to the cities of Sodom, and Lot was taken captive by them. So how did Abram get involved? Because he had nothing to do with Sodom and Gomorrah.
His nephew.
Yeah. Got taken. Yeah. Well, they had a problem earlier because Lot was in Canaan, I think, or in that area. He kept on having his sheep feed on the other people's land.
Yeah.
And they were complaining to Abram because Abram basically adopted him because his father had been burnt. alive, and so, and Abram didn't have any kids, so he took Lot as basically as
true.
his son,
Yes.
raised him up, and then at least that's tradition, I guess.
Yeah.
But and so, but Abram kept on telling him, hey, you need to keep your animals on their land, because these people, we're strangers here, and they're getting pissed. They're
Yeah, they
getting
don't
upset.
like us doing this.
And then finally Abram's like, okay, Lot, you need to go find yourself a really nice place. I need to be, but I can't have you associated. You need to kind of go find your own place,
Yeah.
because and so that's how Lot ended up over by Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, and apparently he was important enough to be captured.
Yeah, not killed.
Yeah.
No, he was. Yeah, well, he had flocks and stuff. He
Yeah,
was.
he was well
Yeah,
trained.
I mean, Abram and them were all doing good. So anyway, so that's how Abram gets. And one of the things Abram told him was, "Hey, if anything happens, you call for me." He told him that. He goes, "But I can't have you here right now because you're just making too much trouble. But if anything happens, you let me know." He's kind of like the Godfather, like.
Yeah.
And so something happened. And so that's why Abram got involved with Sodom and Gomorrah, and in the battle of these 9 kings, 4 of which,
5 and 4.
yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Abram was pissed.
in verse 7 and 8.
And Abram heard this, and he rose up with about 318 men that were with him. And he that night pursued these kings and smote them. And they all fell before Abram and his men. And there were none remaining but the 4 kings who fled. And they went each his own road.
See? So there you go. There's the fulfillment of that prophecy.
Yeah, just a simple little, just like take 300 men, and they just went and took care of business.
Yeah, what did he say? The guy, but we see the fulfillment. And as to that, thou hast said concerning the 3 which thou didst see like unto thyself, and which did escape. This means that thou only will escape with 3 kings from the kings of the earth who shall be with thee in battle. Here's the fulfillment of that prophecy. And I think the numbers here, because you see that Abram only has 318 men. The numbers probably weren't, even in these epic battles, they were probably pretty small numbers.
Yeah, they weren't like the
But
embellished numbers.
in
As
some of these,
mentioned.
700,000, and you're just like, what? Like 900,000 people that came to see Abram get killed.
Yeah,
when he was thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
Like, but these hundreds of
numbers
are more realistic, even for these kingdoms.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion. But
no, it's totally. I share that opinion, Mark.
Am I wearing? What are the? I can't think of an archaeologist hat or something. That plastic hat.
Yeah.
That they all wear. Anyway. So that he goes forth and he rescues, and Abram recovered all the property of Sodom, and he also recovered Lot and his property, his wives and his little ones, all belonging to him, so that Lot lacked nothing.
Good old Lot.
So, there's the fulfillment of that part of the prophecy. Interesting thing is what we were talking about in verse 11. Let's go to the Bible real quick. Brandon, can you open up your scriptures?
Oh, thank you.
No.
So,
go ahead.
I think it's interesting. It never mentions Jerusalem's never mentioned. Before this, Jerusalem is a city.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, oh, the king of Jerusalem.
Well, let's. Dang, did I write it down? Oh wait, I think I wrote it on the next page. Genesis 14:18 through 20. Sorry. Because this is right after, and this is just a weird, like, coink or thing that's, but,
yeah. So this is Melchizedek, king of Salem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Read that. Let's see. So 18 through 20. Yeah.
So, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God.
Yeah. Keep going.
And he blessed him, and he said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand.
And he gave tithes.
Oh, this is the part there where we talked about.
Oh.
He gave,
Oh.
and
I'm
he
sorry.
gave, yeah, he gave him tithes of all.
Yeah. Okay. So Abram pays tithes to Melchizedek, or to Melchizedek.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is he? He's king of.
Well, in this, it says he's the king of Salem.
That's what he's. Okay. So you got that, but then in here, okay,
And Jasher.
and yeah, in Jasher chapter 16 verse 11, and Adonizedek,
Yeah.
king of Jerusalem, the same was Shem,
Yep.
went out with his men to meet Abram and his people with bread and wine, and they remained together in the valley of Melech.
Interesting name.
And Adonizedek, who's Shem, again, blessed Abram, and Abram gave him a tenth from all that he had brought from the spoils of his enemies, and for Adonizedek was a priest before God, or Shem.
Yeah.
So I mean, this seems to kind of solve the mystery of who the heck Melchizedek was, you know?
Well, yeah, and there's what I didn't realize this, but there's something interesting here. So Adonizedek, right, who we now are like, oh, this is the same as Melchizedek, right? Adonai means Lord, right?
Okay.
That's the Hebrew word for Lord.
Okay.
That's why that's what, usually that word's used to describe God, But Zedek means righteousness. Zedek. So that's what the Lord of righteousness, right? Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem. But what's interesting is it says, and then they're together in the valley of Melech. Melech is the word for king, and it's and
Melchizedek.
yeah,
It's like,
and then the other name for is Melchizedek.
yeah.
So I thought it was interesting.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It all kind of it all ties this story together. So the thing, and it makes sense, because who the heck is this guy suddenly, like in the Bible? Suddenly this guy wanders in after this big battle, but Abram is blessed by him. He pays him tithes. They have it in the Bible. What did they have? Bread and wine, or
I think it was bread at least.
yeah. Anyway, they do this whole thing, and this priest blesses him, and it's like, what? Because another thing is that one thing that Abram does specifically to the kings of Sodom, they're like, hey, we'll give you, thanks so much for saving us, in chapter 14, Abram answered the kings of Sodom, saying, as the Lord liveth, who created heaven and earth, and who redeemed my soul from all affliction, and who delivered me this day from my enemies, and gave them into my hand, I will not take anything belonging to you, that you may not boast tomorrow, saying, Abram became rich from our property that he saved. Melchizedek had nothing to do with Sodom and Gomorrah, those cities. He wanted nothing to do with them. He's like, I'll take nothing. All I want is for you to restore, Lot's stuff, and also give payment to the guys I had to hire to come rescue you. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with you. So I'm saying it's like these two. So who the heck is this guy that wanders in the Bible, and you never get an answer to it? That Abram bowed down, not bowed, but
basically paid tithes to and gave respect to.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is up until now, and this might be the first real inconsistency in a way, Oh, you do got some treasures in that ice chest.
Well, let's. Right now, we're gonna have a Barrett's.
Have we ever had a Barrett's before?
I don't think so.
Bermuda stone.
That's right. This is a Bermuda original. Bermuda's favorite.
It's a different kind of.
It's good.
I like it.
It's sweet.
It's a little too sweet for being sugar free.
Is this really sugar free? Barrett's. Anyway.
So what I was saying is, did you finish yours?
Yeah.
You just.
Well, you don't have to finish it. It's fine. Okay, keep going though.
Oh, is that up until now, several times Abram goes and visits Shem and Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, this time, the king of Jerusalem, Shem, it's kind of like a different. It comes in a different way. Before, it's always like, oh,
Like, where the
Noah
heck is
and
he
Shem
going?
are some like in some secret place.
They're going
like,
to hide. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like he's going to hide there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it makes sense that he could hide there if they had their own like righteous kingdom or something, or not.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's pretty. I like that though. I like that. I like this whole Adonizedek thing because I've heard before that Shem and Melchizedek are the same person, but I was never totally sure where that was found.
Yeah, it's right here in Jasher, and in the traditions of the and in the traditions of the Jews. It's not just, So anyway, so there's this higher priesthood or whatever.
Because he's a priest.
Yeah,
He's a king and a priest.
That Abram is under. So something that you never hear about.
No.
But you can see it right in the Bible too, in those verses. So anyway, that's just an interesting aside. So if you've ever wondered who the heck is this guy paying tithes to and getting blessed by, because otherwise it's always like these angels that come to him.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like we know that the different translations and different the different versions of the book of Genesis and stuff, they all have little differences in there, and it's almost like sometimes when they were writing them, transcribing them down, they just would mix up Adonai and Melech, and Melchizedek and Adonai, it's the same name.
Yeah.
They just, for some reason, just wrote it differently.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but like I said, he wants nothing to do with Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
He's like, I just came to rescue my nephew. I paid the guys that I had to hire for the army and stuff and restore his stuff, and we're good. But you saw that fulfillment of that first prophecy. Those three, I would hate to be those stars. Yeah, fallen stars, dude.
Yeah.
So, so there's the fulfillment of that prophecy. Now we're gonna have to skip ahead
We're going to go to the next fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that 27-ish?
Yeah, it's
26.
Oh wait, I got it right here. 27. Yeah. There's a couple generations later.
Yeah, and we're only skipping ahead this far just because of the fulfillment of the prophecies, right?
Yeah, Abram marries
Sarai.
Sarai has
Isaac.
Isaac. Isaac marries Rebecca, or is it Rachel or Rebecca?
I don't know.
Dang it!
Some R name.
Why?
I would get those two names mixed up. So
Well,
Isaac marries someone, and
Isaac marries, and he has 2 kids. Actually, let's go to 27.
So he has Jacob and Esau.
And who was their mommy? Wait, Rebecca. It was Rebecca. So this is Isaac's. Wait. What did we say? Sarah, Abram. Oh, Rebecca. Okay. Isaac, the son of Rebecca. Rebecca, his wife, was still barren in those days. You got to know that.
Okay.
So it was Isaac and Rebecca.
Okay.
So what happened was he sent. Anyway, we don't have to go through all that. We can.
Yeah. Not too important.
But okay, so Rebecca gets pregnant,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden she's like, in her 7th month of pregnancy, and she's like, "What the freak?" Like she starts asking the other pregnant ladies, "Hey, have you ever had this happen? There's something weird going on in her belly."
Yeah.
And what does she do? She goes to the land of Moriah to seek the Lord, and she went to Shem and Eber, his son, to make inquiries concerning the matter. She goes to the high priest.
Yeah, Shem's still hanging around.
Yeah. So anyway, and then also Abraham. Now he's Abraham. His name was changed. But whenever he had finally made gotten
He made
a
a covenant
covenant with the Lord. Anyway, so it was it ends up God's like, you're having twins. She's like, what? Twins? Twice the fun?
So I don't think I ever realized that Jacob and Esau were twins. Does it say that? Does that cover that in the Bible?
Yeah.
Oh.
What happens is, because remember so what happens when they're born? This little hair. Okay, let's go.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah.
There's like a contest to see which one was first.
Well, no, because it's actually kind of important how they're born. So this is
What we got? What is it about?
Rebecca
24-ish?
Oh, it's actually probably 25. Yeah, Rebecca conceived. Okay. And Isaac. Okay. So the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord, and here we find out she goes to the top guys, Shem and Shem's son, and then Abraham and stuff. And in verse 23,
the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Okay, and 24, I'm 24 and 25.
And when her
26.
days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first one came out red, all over like a hairy garment.
I don't know.
And they called his name Esau.
Yeah.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took a hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
So anyway, okay, they're twins, but one of the things is that Esau's born first, and he's red for some. I don't know what the.
If that means red hair, if that means like he was just like.
And it
darker.
says red. Came out red all over like an hairy garment. I don't know.
And he was like a werewolf baby.
Well, some kids are born and they do have.
Yeah, they have like a lot of fuzz on them.
Like fuzz on their back and stuff. Like my niece, she had little fuzz. She had dark fuzz on her back.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
So.
Yeah, maybe he was just like a hairy kid.
And in here it says that whenever he was born, dang Dang it, I don't have it marked. Well, that he was born like full, like, anyway, whatever. I don't know. And so, but okay, so Jacob came out second, and he was his little baby hand was holding on to the heel,
Mm-hmm.
and actually, dang, I thought I wrote it down. That Jacob. Oh no, I wrote that later. I wrote that in here. I did write it. That his name actually means heel. Jacob means heel catcher.
Really? Yaakov.
He was always on the and this kind of this goes to, somebody's always on your heels, or there's that saying.
Yeah. What is it?
Kind of like they're the coattails of other people, and it's a supplanter too. His name means that too.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of a
like he's actually like what's his name comes first, and then he's hanging on his coattails or his heel. Jacob, as he always the second, but he's the one that actually gets everything.
Yeah.
As we find out later.
Yeah. So Yaakov means he who supplants.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's what I'm saying. What's his name was the one that came out, but Jacob's
he's like
hanging on to the coattails.
No, you don't.
So you see in the birth that whole thing. Anyway,
yeah, clever.
Yeah. So, so they grow up, and there's
Esau becomes he likes to hunt.
He likes to get his hunt on.
Yeah, Esau's a hunter. He likes to hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. He likes to hunt, yeah, and he's not really into the righteous thing or whatever. Later on, Isaac goes to Shem and Eber, and it says, he learned the instructions of the Lord, and Jacob remained in the house of Shem and Eber for 32 years. This is later. And Esau, his brother, did not go. Okay. Yeah. For he was not willing to go. This is later on. Yeah. He just didn't want anything to do. He's like, and he remained in his father's house. Esau was continually hunting in the fields. Yeah. That's kind of what Esau was about.
Like the life of a hunter.
Yeah. He wasn't into spirituality or whatever.
He liked to go out and have fun and hunt. Mm-hmm. That's what all the cool kids did back then. Nimrod liked to hunt.
Nimrod was a big hunter in chapter 27. Okay, so this is where it gets us. So they grow up together. Jacob favors Esau, and Rebecca, right, favors. Wait. Isaac favors Esau, and Rebecca seems to favor Jacob, right? That's what it seems like to me. Anyway, whatever. It's just they're growing up together and they're different.
Well, yeah,
one's a mama's boy, one's a hunter.
Well, yeah, and but it's also like Isaac is, it's also Jacob is like well, he's like the letter of the law. Like, hey, he's first.
Yeah.
The mom's like, no, but Jacob is the rightful. Like he's more like he's gonna do our family good. He's gonna uphold the name of our family better than a hunter.
Yeah,
Esau.
I mean, right from the beginning, him being that hairy guy or whatever, they're just like, dude, he's just a man of the world, just out there doing, like he's the man.
Why does it seem
alpha.
Like the Hebrew scriptures always associate hair with like
manliness?
Yeah, but not even
or wickedness. Or...
Yeah. Like remember the whole like Cain was Cain was I don't know if the scriptures do this, but if you heard like Cain is like was it Cain? Yeah, like he was like people would associate Cain with being like this like gross.
Well, you're probably thinking of the wrestler.
Oh, he
Not
there is a wrestler
but
named
he's all
Kane,
like
huh?
got that stringy hair.
I
and
know what you're
stuff.
talking about. Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know. It's just the way it is. But they kind of set it up from the right from the beginning that he was just
You
this.
worked. That was awesome.
I know. Sorry, guys. But
Is that
anyway,
It's that,
so
it's
let's get
Barrett.
let's
It's Barrett's, man.
yeah.
It's actually pretty.
It's
I like
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
It's okay. This
It's
just to
different
let you
than-
know, Barrett's. It doesn't have as a lot of like the super ginger, but it's a nice sweet.
It
It's a
tastes
good
like a
sweet.
tasty soda.
Yeah, yeah, it's very good.
No
Ooh,
wonder
and
why
I'm
it's-
getting to the bottom. I see a bunch of stuff floating down there.
No
That's
wonder
good.
why it's Bermuda's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But so anyway, there's this kind of, as there always is with brothers in the Bible. That's the thing in the Bible.
Yeah.
You have little, remember Abel,
Yeah.
or not Abel. Yeah, Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel.
You know, you have one that's like doing everything that he's supposed to. You have the other one that's out there kind of getting things done,
Yeah.
you know, but doing his own thing, I guess. Like, you know. And so in this case, Esau, okay, let's do chapter 27.
We're on 27, right?
Yeah.
So the
In verse
Esau.
1. Yeah, we'll go every other verse up to 5. How about that?
So this is after Abraham dies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Abraham dies. In 26, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in verse 1, and Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham.
Oh, that's why I was trying to say that we're skipping ahead a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're doing like the Bible does.
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
quicker.
Sure.
We're like, I mean, they at least gave it a couple chapters, but.
So Esau frequently went into the field to hunt. So much, and the Nimrod, the king of Babel, who is like, oh, we read this.
Wait, who, what else is he known as?
It's the same was Amraphel. This is the same verse we read earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. I love the imagery. Nimrod, like they go for a little hunt and then they just kind of walk around together and just like.
Well, imagine like being like in a desert area or whatever, and like whenever that sun starts going down and kind of like just the cool of the
Yeah,
day.
this is where the cool kids go. Like going out into the fields to hunt. That's where all the cool people go. That's where you go. And that's why Esau wanted to go do that. Because Nimrod and his men, they were going out hunting all the time too.
You know, there was a thing where they had a huge game preserve in Mesopotamia where they had put up giant walls, or was that in China? Anyway, they had a big actual game preserve that they had. I think it might have been in Mesopotamia whenever I read on the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
And they would just like,
And
it's a
they're
big hunting
hanging
ground.
gardens, you know, because you're in the middle of the desert, but then you have all this foliage and stuff that.
Yeah.
So this could have, let's just say that let's think about, let me just go off on this thing is that maybe Esau had snuck into the hunting grounds, the king's private hunting grounds. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This would make it
More
even
sense.
more like, because I don't know, I just like that idea.
Well,
I mean, because you know, kings, this is their land, everything,
this is
and
the
you have to
king.
get their permission.
Yeah.
So okay, and it makes more sense whenever you hear about what Esau does.
yeah, he because without your theory, it doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, you're just like, what? Okay, so and then verse 3, and Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau for some
Because
reason.
Esau was just good at hunting.
Well, and then he was also the ancestor of Abram, who kicked their butts, who had kind of like tore down any kind of, you know, their kingdoms.
He has a long feud with that family.
Yeah. Okay, so this is in verse 5. It was where Yeah, where you're kind of like, what? Why is he doing this?
So I'll read
But
4 real quick. And on a certain
oh
day,
yeah,
Esau went into the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with 2 of his men.
okay. So this is where my theory starts coming in, where it's like he's hunting, but then all of a sudden, oh crap, Nimrod and 2 other guys.
Yeah, I can't be here.
Like, and then yeah, verse
And
5.
all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod,
This thing's supposed to be
and he from Nimrod, I
I
should
don't
say,
know.
and he lurked for him in the wilderness. So he was kind of like hiding from Nimrod.
Yeah.
Like he's like, crap, they're gonna find me. I'm not supposed to be here. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him, and Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day. The 3rd time it's mentioned that.
God used to do that in the Garden of Eden. Remember?
Yeah. I just meant,
Like sometimes he would just walk through.
oh, it's nice.
All of a sudden, like Adam and Eve would be there, and all of a sudden they see this pair of feet just walking through the garden. Like, what the heck?
And to know where his men were hunting in the field. So
Okay.
Nimrod was just kind of checking around and see where his men were all hunting at.
Yeah, but they had divided up. The other because he had a bunch of people with him. That's why I'm saying. And Nimrod was the great hunter.
Yeah. No one out hunts Nimrod in his own hunting ground, right?
No, they don't.
And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod, and cut off his head.
Off with his head.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like
It's like
they just kind of walked right to where Esau was trying to hide,
yeah.
and he's just like, okay, it's on.
Yeah, it's like there's so much not being said too, but oh well, that's frequent.
Well, yeah,
in
no,
stuff.
but there's a lot more being said here than in the
there is.
Bible.
Totally. So
And
then Esau also fought off the 2 men.
yeah, they fought
That
a
were with
desperate fight with the 2 men, and he turned and smote them to death with his sword.
He killed the other 2 guys
with his sword.
with his sword.
Sword.
And all the mighty men of Nimrod who had left him to go into the wilderness heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those 2 men. And they ran to know the cause of it, and when they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness.
So there you go. Nimrod just got his head chopped because he had kind of stumbled onto, and he had already been after Esau for some reason. Like I said, it says, that's what I'm saying. We're speculating, but he had already been observing Esau all the days. He probably seen, because Esau loved to hunt. He had already freaking Esau's always coming in here and getting my animal, and
Yeah.
you see this little hairy red butt go over the wall to escape. He's a little hairy guy, but it's like freaking Esau again. So
The imagery here, climbing over the wall.
There's like a patch of hair left on it, like. Anyway, but so finally it gets to the point. There's all these guys out there, Nimrod had come with a bunch of people,
So they
were
ran.
all off, and Nimrod and all of a sudden Esau's like, oh crap, and so he's just trying to hide, and then Nimrod and 2 of his guys just get too close, and it's like, okay, woink. Just lobs off Nimrod's head, and then fights the other 2, overcomes them, and kills them. And then they hear the guys off in the distance hear the struggle. The guys are like, "Hey, help!" And all of a sudden they get there, and there's 3 dead guys.
Yep.
And a red streak running through the wilderness.
And a robeless king.
Yeah, okay. So read that in verse 10.
And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled, and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod,
Mm-hmm.
and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land, and he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men, and he came into his father's house wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him.
Okay, so it makes specific it for whatever reasons, like, okay, he killed Nimrod, chopped off his head, killed his other two guys. Nimrod was wearing his power garments,
Yeah,
his power cloak or whatever,
yeah,
where he could prevail. This same one that got Noah used,
yeah,
in my opinion, to get the animals on the ark, that gave him dominion over the animal creatures of the earth, that Adam wore. So it was
mm-hmm.
from Adam to Enoch, got it.
Yeah.
Enoch to Noah. Noah got it stolen
from Ham.
The same exact thing happened with Nimrod, where all of a sudden somebody takes the garment and he's suddenly naked, and his other two sons have to cover him up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Esau saw how the valuable garment. He's like, dude,
those robes.
That's the robes of power. So he makes sure he takes those garments and he hides them in his house, but he's fleeing, from,
because now he has a bunch of people, and they saw that red streak, so they know that it was him.
Nimrod was here, or not Nimrod.
Esau
was here. So that's what I'm saying. They're like, and he took those valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed.
Yes, good choice of words there.
That's like to him, and which helped him. These garments helped him prevail over the whole land.
Yeah, they're basically the king's robes.
So there were, but okay, these were handed down. They were the birthright.
Yeah,
from father to son, father to
rules.
son, father to son.
Yeah,
So, but he is running for his life. He hid the garments. So, like you said, he hid them. He came to his father's house weary, and he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. In verse 12.
And he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day. And wherefore then do I want this birthright?
Want the birthright.
Want the birthright.
What's he talking about?
Well, he currently has the birthright.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
What good are these dumb garments going to do me?
Yeah.
I'm dying.
And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this manner, and Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord.
Yep.
So yeah,
and one thing that Jacob does is that he writes, and Jacob wrote the whole of this because he's like, I'll take care of you and feed you, you'll live. But he wrote, and they made a thing in a book. Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it, and the book remained in the hands of Jacob. And this is something to do with Mesopotamia, but in Mesopotamia you had these, the clay tablets that we talked about.
Yeah.
And you could write something, and then each person would have like a roll, and it would have like kind of like a king would have with a ring where you, what's that called?
Sigil.
You seal it, with the sigil. But these things were rolls, so it was even harder to duplicate. So it'd have the things carved in it, and you'd roll it, and it would make an image.
Oh, is that how that did it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
For that different people, that would be like their signature.
Yeah.
And so they'd have these clay tablets, write it, and then they could each put their sigil or roll their thing, their imprint in it, and then they would bake the clay.
Yeah. And
it would be a permanent record. So
that's cool.
Jacob's like, okay,
let's sign this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Then here, put your sigil in here. We'll write it up, and so you got a permanent record. So
Yeah, because we can't
illegal.
just do word of mouth on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's just an interesting. So he had gotten the garment he had gotten the garment, thought enough to strip it from Nimrod when he killed him. But by the time he got to his father's house and Jacob was there, he said, okay, this. It doesn't matter. I need to just help me, save me.
Mm-hmm.
And then in verse, Genesis 25. Okay, in Genesis it says it this way, and Jacob sawed pottage,
Yes.
and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, whatever that means. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Okay. That's in verse 31 of Genesis 25. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So the Genesis account's
so
like
crummy, like
I'm saying, no, people can't make you. Whenever you hear the thing, you're like, why? What?
And
then people are like,
for some food.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. This other account makes so much more sense. It's like he's running for his life, and he's just like, hey, it's like it doesn't. Anyway, it's just such an interesting thing. Story, like how much clearer it makes the story.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how. Geez,
like, how is this complete?
How did it get this bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's just so anyway. So there's the end of Nimrod, and the end of the prophecies. Now,
let me ask you a question about Nimrod. Something so this is gonna be opinion, obviously, because I don't think we have an answer for this. But
I've got an answer, Brandon.
Nimrod was really old.
No, he died at like 200 and something.
That's a long time.
Well, I know, but okay, you got to. Okay, according to this, Noah lived to be 950 years old. Shem lived to be 600 and something years old. Nimrod lived to be 250 years old, but he was killed before his time. Yeah. He didn't die naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation after Noah lived shorter and shorter and shorter. And the tradition is up until Moses, who lived 120 years. Mm-hmm. And then that's the cap. Supposedly, in a Jewish tradition.
That's a good, that's a good, religious explanation for it. But, doesn't make any...
Hey, Brandon. That's just the way it is, man.
Okay, what about Abraham? Abraham was younger than Nimrod, and died younger. Yeah, died before Nimrod. So he was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Abraham was born. Remember?
Oh, he was a few generations after.
Yeah, he was, because Nimrod was the great grandson of Noah.
So there was
but Abraham was 20 generations later. But I'm saying, so you have Noah living almost long past his 20th, generation. He almost lives longer. You have actually Shem dies later after Abraham.
Yeah.
at 600 some years.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just kind of it's just the way, I don't know. There's all kinds of ideas out there on
Sure.
why, like, the generations were shortened and
Yeah, why
shortened
that would
and
happen and stuff.
shortened, and people think of different genetic things and all this different
Yeah, there's
stuff.
probably 1,000 different theories for that.
Yeah. But I'm saying, also though that would make sense though why these guys like Noah and Shem were so revered. And you said it in the last podcast. You're like, they're like the gods.
Yeah.
They're
pretty
like
much.
the ancient ones. They're like the ones that were there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Noah was living whenever Abraham was born. Isaac, I think, too.
Yeah.
He was still living. The guy that had gone through the flood.
For all intents and purposes,
The guy and his kids. They were all
the,
still alive.
The father of the entire race.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, actually. Yeah. The new Adam.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, because if you think about it, everybody was descendants of him. The Great Reset.
You know what's weird? Can I tell you something that's weird?
What?
So how many people were on the ark?
All of them. No, there was 2.
Supposedly there was 8, right?
Yeah.
According to the Bible, there was 8 on the ark. In the ancient Egypt, there's this godhead called the Ogdod.
Okay.
You heard that?
Yeah, I've heard of Ogdod.
Yeah, it's 8.
Okay.
And they're basically male and females. Four males, 4 females.
Oh.
And they're like the ancient gods.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Put that in your GWiz file.
Yeah. I don't have anything more to say about that. So
here we see the total fulfillment of prophecy, or the prophecy in the book. Of course, it's going to fulfill its own prophecy, but you see the 4 stars prophecy and Nimrod's own dream fulfilled.
Yeah.
So, and then there's that garment that they start off with, and that garment, like, was given to Jacob, and later on Jacob has 12 sons, but he gives one special garment to a little guy named Joseph,
the youngest,
his Technicolor dream coat.
Yeah. What's funny is, like, and with this allows you to understand why his brothers were so upset.
They're like, why would you give? But but Dad, we've done all this
before. And
actually,
it says it's like, oh, he was just the favorite.
I actually listened to it. Explains. I didn't get a chance to mark it, but it explains why the actual firstborn of Leah or whatever didn't get it. He went into one of his father's wives.
Yeah, I remember. I've read
that
before.
And it says, and he lost his birthright, and that's why it was given to the firstborn of Rachel.
Got it.
So there's a whole thing connected there. But I'm saying, so that whole story about Joseph and his coat and stuff of many colors may be the same very garment, and then it's destroyed. So
yeah, when
they sell him off and have to rip it up.
Fools. Did you know you're ripping up a magical coat?
I guess not. Or they got to make it, it just didn't go the way they planned. And what are they going to do?
And that's
probably
why,
smelled pretty bad,
and
too.
And that's why...
I mean, the thing's like thousands of years old.
That's why Jacob knew that his sons were lying to him. Because they're like, a lion killed him.
Oh.
Like, yeah, if he was wearing that coat,
a
lion
actually, that is part of the thing. Is that actually he's like, yeah, that's true. Anyway, now we're talking to generalities, but actually what happens is Jacob, just real quick, Jacob they come back to him after they've sold off Joseph and brought him part of the garment dipped in blood.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, you need to go out and find the first animal that you get. That'll be the one that killed him." And they find a wolf. They have the wolf come back, and and then they trap the wolf. They bring it back, and the wolf starts talking to Jacob, yeah. And it says, "I didn't kill him," because Jacob says, like, "How could you have killed him?" It's like this is the garment that gives him dominion. How did that even happen? And he's like, "I didn't," but he doesn't tell him what happened. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. There's like a bunch of stuff that's total random, but I'm just saying. So anyway, it's just an interesting thing. This stolen garment, this garment that was given all the way back, and the tradition is found in the Bible somewhat.
Yeah.
Loosely
mentioned here and there.
And you'll hear it, for some reason Nimrod's this great mighty hunter and
Amraphel.
Yeah. But it all comes together. So anyway, so there's the end of Nimrod, the end of Abram versus Nimrod.
So this is the one that would be Abram strikes back. I was
just going to call it Nimrod's end.
Nimrod's end. Nimrod's demise.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
it's funny how much of this
let's call it the red streak. Imagine a little Esau running
the red streak. I don't know why we had this imagery of him being naked, but like
because he's all hairy.
Doesn't need clothes.
He doesn't even have to wear clothes. But all right, well,
good job today, Mark.
Yeah, and we'll go back because
we did go forward in time quite a bit, so we'll go back.
There's a whole thing on Abraham and Isaac, the sacrifice that's different, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch on Sodom and Gomorrah and their wickedness. I don't know if we're going to have time.
No, we'll do that next time.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one. Sodom and Gomorrah and the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah. There's a lot more stuff than you even think. So until next time, keep on rocking and rolling.
All right.
Bye.
Oh, that's an hour and 20. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. See, that was a good one. Oh, I need to turn this one off.
Hey, can I keep this, Joe?